Okay, so welcome to Project Happy Hour. My name is Ray Cecily, and I am your hostess. If you've never joined us before, the purpose of this show is to provide a virtual happy hour for other workers of the industry, just to have an excuse to check out of work and check in and hang out with us. Have a drink, of course. Don't forget to grab your drink. That's the purpose of this, is Project Happy Hour. And if you've never joined us before, you can always watch other episodes on our Prosperi YouTube channel. So I just want to mention that we have a twist with the show. It's our hot word. Every episode, there's a hot word. And each time one of our panelists says this word is $1 that we are going to be donating to the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. So it's important for us with the global crisis going on. We're an international company and we wanted to support international efforts in the race to find an effective vaccine. So this was a cause that we really wanted to support. And I'm pleased to inform you that from the first episode, first 3 episodes, we have made a donation of $100. We did a roundup, obviously, because our panelists are so good at their job that they were not saying the word enough times, the hot word. So we rounded up to $100 and made a donation. So we're going to keep supporting this great cause, and it's really important to us. So I would like to introduce to you our panelists. We have Leo Nogueira and Rogerio Murari. How's it going, guys?
Hello. Cheers.
Very good.
Cheers. Hey.
Yeah.
So what are you guys drinking today? Oh, we're all drinking wine.
I'm drinking wine today. Yeah, again. So this is an Argentine wine. It's a grape called Bonarda. Can you see it?
Oh, banana. Good.
Okay.
And you, Ray, what are you drinking? Cabernet?
I am drinking a cab from Sonoma County, and it's a 2015 vintage, which was a great harvest year. So I'm a big fan of California cab. So that's what I'm having today. And you, Leo?
Nice. Today, I don't know if Rogerio is going to be remembered, but he is the guy that introduced me to the wine I'm drinking today. And the last was 2014.
Really?
It's a wine that you can find almost every supermarket in the US. And Rogerio saw the bottle and he told me, Leo, you definitely need to buy this wine and take to Brazil. Since then, I've been drinking that, and that's our special reason. That's a Coppola, and the name of this wine is Claret. And Claret is the name of my father. And we are recording this episode 2 days before Father's Day, and also it's my father's birthday today. And I was supposed to be in Brazil celebrating with him, but due to this coronavirus situation, I had to cancel my trip to Brazil. So I'm drinking the wine that makes me remember, and that's all because Rogerio had me showing this bottle. So happy birthday to my father, happy Father's Day to all the fathers around the world, and let's celebrate and have this nice happy hour.
What a beautiful commemoration to him. I love it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So, you guys ready to get started? You want to see what the first hot word is? The hot word is home. So we're talking about working from home. This is obviously something that's affecting everyone, no matter their industry, no matter their role, unless they're an essential worker and still in the front lines. And thank you to those who are still out there doing that. But for those who were able to transition to home, working from home is a big theme. So that was important for us to talk about. And so you guys know how the rules go. Every time you say the word home, it's another $1 that goes to the tally. So are you ready?
Even if you, when you ask the questions, if you have the hot word?
Of course, it's a great cause. We're happy to support it.
Yep.
Of course. All right, so let's see the first question. So how do organizations rapidly adapt to home offices for their colleagues, and what do they need? And I think this was this is super relevant because obviously rapidly adapting is what everyone had to deal with COVID. So what do you guys think with this?
Leo, can you start?
Yes, I can. My first suggestion is always to pay appropriate attention to communication. Organization needs to be transparent about the change, set expectations, and publicize to all the stakeholders. The second thing is to be offer a proper tools to their employees. Other companies need to identify rapidly if the employee has the right remote access to all the applications that he uses in the office. He needs to have the same applications or similar when he's working remotely. Also, they need to check about the network size. There's a different traffic that's going to be coming to the company's network infrastructure. In the other words, companies need to guarantee that the work will be done from their house, not home, in a secure environment. This week, I was discussing with a CIO that he was just starting this new company, was a new job for him a couple months ago, and was a 80 years old company. It's a food industry that was a familiar company that on the last 3 or 4 years, they start to really be bringing professionals and change that from the familiar management. And due to the COVID-19, he was obligated to move a large part of the workforce remote in only a 3 days time frame. So
Wow.
it's a old company that they never even thought about the possibility to work from home or to have a remote workforce. And he was able to do that in 3 days. But why? Because they're already using cloud technology. So he was able to migrate everyone to Microsoft Teams really rapidly because they are not really had migrated yet. They use Skype for Business, but in a couple of days they did the migration for Microsoft Teams and brought everything to home in only 3 days after he get this challenge. And after that, that's what I think that was really interesting. He did. He created a program called IT Academy, and he's engaged in several different vendors, IT vendors, that are connecting on a Microsoft Teams and providing these 1 to 2 hour sessions about the solutions that are available, the tools that are available for the employees. So with that, they can really improve the knowledge about the tools and improve the productivity. And of course, the first 3 sessions that they did with the employees was about Microsoft Teams, the first tools. And now they're getting those with several other tools. So basically, communication and all the technology that need to guarantee that the employees have available to have the work done.
Okay, I just have to agree that I think that what Lewis has said is perfect. Just communication, guarantee employee access to corporate applications, and checking guarantee the sufficient infrastructure need, right? I also would like to give an example about how huge and incredibly successful this change can be. I was watching an interview with a CEO of a very large bank in Brazil, and he said they have started to test home office for 300 people last year. But he wasn't so sure if this kind of change would be really effective. But now they have around 50,000 people working from home, and everything is still working. Can you imagine that? It is amazing.
Yeah, that is
Last
amazing.
year, 300, now 50,000.
Wow. Wow. I definitely see a lot of companies not only adopting this for COVID-19 and right now, but I think a lot of them will be adopting it indefinitely, because I think one of the biggest fears is companies are afraid that productivity is going to go down. But I think over time that they'll see that it'll be consistent and sometimes even increase. And I think that they'll actually be pleased with the results and will maintain that, because obviously there's a lot of benefits on both sides, cost saving for the company and a lot of benefits as well for the employees. So I'm interested to see how this continues on. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. So let's move on to tell me about it. I thought this was great. Obviously, setting the priorities. Like, usually the baby gate's protecting the baby from something dangerous, and obviously the desk is a top priority. I love
Yeah,
this.
but if you're in the middle of the meeting and the boss is saying that you didn't have the work done, like a lion inside the cage over there for your kid.
Yep, for sure. I loved this one. I thought it was great. So obviously priorities are keeping the baby away from the desk. That's how I feel about my dog. All right. So let's move on to the next question. So what are some effective ways to maintain productivity while working from home? Productivity is obviously a big theme and a big concern with companies. So maintaining productivity similar to what they were doing in the office and their performance, that's really important. So what do you recommend to maintain that?
Okay, I think I can start that. So I have read lots of things since the beginning of this forced social isolation. There is plenty of fake specialists saying a lot of stuff about this, but I believe that nobody's fully prepared for this kind of situation. But I like some tips I have heard from a lovely friend of mine who lives in Canada. The first one is related to territory. Yes, nice, because you must determine the place where we work from. It's important to have a designated spot where you get all your stuff, especially if you don't live alone in your house. Okay? I didn't say the hot word. Yes. The second one is about agreements. You have to establish agreements with people that share or live in the same space. It's important that each one respect each other's space. It's also important to set the responsibilities about the overall tasks in the house during the week. Because if you don't do it, you're gonna fight. So the third tip is organization. Put all your stuff together, map all your corporate tools you need, and check where your files are in the cloud or hard drive, or if you need a VPN to access them. The last one of my list, there's lots of lists about these tips about how to live in this home office, is discipline. The discipline. This is the hardest I know. Discipline is in home office is essential. Wake up, have a shower if you like to do it in this morning, of course. Get rested, even if you don't do video calls too often. Okay, have your breakfast and go to work. Even if your work be in the same table you have had your breakfast. Establish your work hours, separate productive moments and break moments. Take a break for lunch. Discipline in home office is also about learning when to stop. This is very important. That's all I have to say.
I agree with that. Let me ask you, with the agreements with the people you live with, does that work with dogs and animals? I need my dog to understand when I have work hours. I actually went and toured a doggy daycare this week because she just doesn't understand when I'm on a call or when I'm on a meeting. I cannot play with her. And when I have work hours, that I cannot play with her. And she just doesn't understand it. So I would love if animals could understand this agreement. But, and I also love seeing, you've seen some of the, people working from home where one dog barks in the background and then other people's dogs bark on the same call and then all the dogs start barking. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it happens. So yeah, I think that's hilarious. Leo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, before I start to talk about my thoughts, I've been working and balance my routine from office and work from house for over a decade. So definitely have a couple tips to share. But talking about dogs, I don't have this problem with pets. Unfortunately, my son has a dog and cat allergy, so I cannot have those kind of pets, even if he's asking for one. But as I've been working for a long time, since he was born, I was balancing this and working from home. He knows that's working if they have all the cycles, and since he was kid, so it's easy for me to work on that. But I just remember I really funny situation. I was having this video call with IT person from a large organization in Brazil. And then I saw she was doing the call from her bedroom, and her husband passed by, and I know her husband, and I said, "Hey," and I said his name, and she started laughing. I said, "What are you laughing about?" And she told, "Oh, I forgot I was on the camera, and I didn't see my husband here. And a couple of weeks ago, I did the same thing, but he passed behind me and he was naked." So we really need to be careful about the situation. She was in a meeting with all colleagues from her company, and her husband was passing by. So as Rogerio said, you need to define your territory. You need to understand that you are from home, and there's this kind of situation that's different from the office, and you need to be careful. And but the first tip I can share about maintaining productivity is to really update your mindset. You need to train your brain that to understand that you can work from anywhere. I see a lot of people that create two different words in their mind. The work it's equal office, in either else it's equal home. I have a friend that he started working from home, and he told me that every day he had to wake up, take his shower, dress up, and go to his home office, and then close the door and start working. He said that if he was not wearing his long sleeves and casual shirt, he couldn't work. He was not feeling like he was working. It was a ritual that was necessary for him. He changed that after a couple of years, but from the beginning, he needs to do this kind of stuff. Other thing is, like Rogerio said, you need to create a health and safe environment to work. You need good lighting, you need a comfortable chair, you need to be a space that's free of noise. And if you have the correct mindset and appropriate work conditions, that's what makes the difference. Another thing that's important for my understanding, it's you need to change the mindset of the management. You need to change from controlling what people is doing to setting goals, to delegate and support the way the tasks are being executed. As when everyone is on the same place, it shouldn't be like that, but it's natural that when it's the same place, tasks can be distributed with less attention. You can just ask for the person that work for you to do this kind of stuff without details and objectives, and you can be more a controller instead of just being a leader. And being a leader, that's what will guide your team to work and be productive remotely. So it's what I'm saying, that during this remote work, this need to be changed. You need to assign tasks, guarantee that employees clear and that understand the goal, the scope, the deadlines, and get engaged to get stuff done.
From where?
Sorry, Ray?
From where? Stuff done from where?
Yep, yeah. The stuff that needs to be done.
You won't say it. Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point too, is also, it's not only about the colleague, it's also about the management and supporting them. So I think that was definitely a really good point. And hopefully there's some leaders watching the show that's it's maybe going to give them a little aha light bulb moment in their head of, wow, okay, like I'm also leading a team and I need to support them better and not control, but delegate and empower them to get their tasks done and trust. So I think that's definitely a good point. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to tell me about it. Accidentally turning on the webcam during a conference call. I think that goes back to the story you told, Leo, about the woman not knowing. True story. I definitely think this happens too. Whenever you send out Teams meeting invites, I think some people expect that videos are on, and that's not always the plan. It's just Teams makes it a really great way to just connect really easily. You don't have to book a meeting and create a link and blah, blah, blah. It's just so easy. And I think a lot of, I have experience with clients that they just think that because there's a camera option that they should turn on the camera, and that's not always the case. Sometimes I just want to put a disclosure, like just because it's a team invite doesn't mean that you need to put on your camera. But it obviously makes it more personal when you can see people. But yeah, sometimes, yeah, you're caught off guard and you're like looking like this guy. So love it. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
All right, let's
that now
what?
today it's nowadays it's more to easy to accept this kind of thing because everyone's working remotely, everyone's
Yeah.
getting the situation. But I remember, like, I don't know, it's probably 5 6 years ago. I went in a meeting. Was a really there's different time zones, so it was like around 6 a.m. in the morning in Brazil. We were in Brazil that time, and one of our partners was not Rogerio, but he was on the meeting. And I went to the meeting and I started to see he was not dressed in a shirt on his bed, and a lot of people, and he didn't notice that he was the only one of the webcam open. And I had to call him on phone and say, turn off your webcam, and he was seeing something really another situation that was not supposed. Today, people would understand and say, "Oh, webcam is open and we'll be fine." But 5 6 years ago, that totally was a weird thing to happen.
I didn't remember about the wine, but I remember that.
Yeah. I was on the call this morning with a client in Holland, and they everyone had on their webcams, and the client was actually on his rooftop because and it was a gorgeous day in Holland. It was Friday afternoon for them because of the time change. It was Friday morning for me, and he said it's just so beautiful right now. We never have blue skies and sunshine, so I am outside for this meeting. It's gorgeous. And I actually enjoyed the meeting because I got to look at a better background than just a white wall. So yeah, sometimes it's good.
That's the new normal.
Yeah, it is. It definitely
Yep.
is. Everyone understands, even with the dogs barking. So let's
Yep.
move on to our next question. So since we're together no longer in an office, so what are some tools to help keep me and my colleagues connected? And I think this is a big one because people used to be able to lean over to different cubicles and just to see their past their colleagues in the hallway, or go over to their desk and say, "Hey, I sent you this email. Did you see it?" So I think this is definitely a really important question of, how can everyone stay connected whenever they're not physically together?
Yes, and a large set of tools can be used to ensure that remote work experience is not impacted as a result from moving from home. But I think the most important one is to communicate openly and often trust in employees to be productive. Uh, Booster technology and enablement, it seems to be the biggest barrier to most of the company to do remote working nowadays because they didn't get prepared. Uh, so it's really important to choose the most appropriate cloud tools and guarantee this continuous communication and best practice, and that's the ideal use case. But most important than the tools, it's to guide the employees to effectively leverage this tools. Can be email, instant messaging, internal social media, or even work management tools, so they can really drive the better and most consistent users of those tools. Uh, so when we're talking about communication, it's naturally nowadays to come to Microsoft Teams or Zoom. I definitely recommend Microsoft Teams because it's a hub. There's a lot of things integrated to the solution. And that's why the last time I saw that they have 70 million people actively using that tool daily. But there's other tools that not only about communication, not about being able to connect it to people, but also to guarantee that the work is going to be done. So you need to get stuff done. And tools that can be used to leverage that, it's tools that work management tools is can provide an easy way to share and manage tasks or project. Then you can ensure that that's been done as expected. And as I talked about Microsoft Teams earlier, and on a tool that's integrated to Microsoft Teams that can bring this opportunity and easy to use is Microsoft Project for the web. So these are a couple of tools, but of course there's applications and everything that needs to be done, and also the tools that you need daily base, as I said before in the first session. Rogerio, can please add your comments?
Okay, sure. So as you said before, there's lots of tools you can use to do that. But I'm very impressed with Microsoft Teams these days, because it's a very good workspace to communicate and collaborate, and it has been improved since the beginning of this craziness. In addition to content and collaboration and simultaneous document editing, and of course, video meetings also, there are also some cool and useful features like blur your background. This is very useful. It's very useful for home office.
If
So
my friend had blurred the background,
yeah,
shouldn't have her husband passing behind.
this is my favorite feature. Also, you can choose different backgrounds also, but blur your background is nice. You just, so if you don't need to have a picture to put your background, just blur. Yes, those avoid distractions and keep your privacy also.
I don't
So
think Zoom or other tools have the blur background. I know they have different backgrounds, but I don't think you have the blur background option, which is great because obviously, like Leo said, it would have saved his friend during that awkward situation.
yeah, yes. This also I can talk about a kind of conduct code for remote meetings. Right? Just a little bit about this is limit your multitasking about during the meetings. Right? Be really present and pay attention to the meetings. Make a little pauses for others to speak also. So you have to speak, and make a little pause, everyone. So use Microsoft Teams also have a new feature these days. Have a feature raise your hand between. So make a little signal, may raise your hand. There's a button for that. And of course, get dressed before your meeting. Yes, it's a very useful tip.
Going off of Teams, so I was speaking with a colleague actually this morning about, she said, did you know that you can emphasize a message to someone on Teams? I said, yeah, and actually you can emphasize, and there's two options. You can emphasize within Teams, or it's urgent and it'll send a notification to that person every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. So that person will get up to 10 notifications within 20 minutes. And I was like, wow, that's actually really cool, because you don't have to sit there and, say urgent, 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 or chase that person. Teams will actually do that. And obviously there's other tools like you said, Leo, WhatsApp. I've connected with some colleagues on WhatsApp so that I can, reach them more expeditiously and say, hey, I need this, or what's up with this, or I mean, there's a lot of great tools to stay connected, and I think it's just a matter of finding them and researching and finding the best ones that are available out there and that are available for entire organizations. And obviously, like you said, I don't know if you mentioned one of the projects. I don't know if it's Project Online or Project for the Web, but that's really great too, because you can assign people with different tasks so that they're notified, and the different notifications keep it going through. So I think there's a lot of great tools on the market. It's just a matter of finding the right ones that work for you and your organization.
I totally agree. Just adding another comment, Rogerio saying about guarantee that the people on the meeting, remote meeting, it's paying attention for what you're saying. Just today, a couple hours ago, I was having a meeting with a friend, and I was talking. Oh, my son is here today. He's a teenager, and he's being really hard because he has all these remote lessons and classes. And I said, well, why is hard? I said, why? Why is hard? He's there, he opens the video open, but he opened another window, and they start to talk with his friend, and the teacher cannot even know that they're talking, and they're not paying attention at all to the classroom. So that's something that when you're talking about education and remote lessons and remote classrooms, it's just like kids, you can control them inside the classroom. it's not, you cannot control them in a classroom, of course, the teenagers, but you can at least try to do it. But if you're remote, they just mute over here, open a new window, start to talking, and they're not paying attention at all. So just a funny comment that I listened today, but the same kind of stuff sometimes happen on the work environment. So people just connect and it shows like they're really paying attention. They're on the meeting, but they're doing a lot of different stuff over there. So we need to guarantee that even with the most important technology, you need to be thinking about people, right? You need to guarantee that they are working. You need to make some questions. You need to ask for feedback for the people that's over there. So you have this technology working with the environment. That's for sure.
Which I think all of us can say when you're on video on a call, you're far more engaged than you are if video's off. I think that's kind of there's a correlation between that, because if you're on video, they can see if your eyes are going elsewhere, if you're down looking at your phone or whatever. And I think there is a sense of accountability whenever the video's on.
Yeah, it's nice for you to say about that. I'm today with several monitors in front of me, and I noticed that the one I'm looking for your face in Rogerio, it's on top of my camera. So it's probably for the audience. I'm looking up all the time. It's because I'm looking for the monitor in front of me to see.
Yes, I have several monitors. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Got it. All right, let's move on to tell me about it. So I think this is great. I work from home, but of course, there's a lot. People have an awkward desk. Their coworkers are their animals. Their lunch break is kind of half-assed. They're wearing the same shirt or same outfit a few days in a row. I know I've been guilty of that.
I have a meme about that. When all this lockdown started, was right. I went to Brazil to support all this change in Brazil and define the strategy of our offices there. And I came back right after, it was a couple days after Disney and Universal locked down here and closed for first time that Disney closed after September 11th. That never happened. It was a couple days before I moved. And then I got home and I started working, and I told my wife, I'm just staying home. I don't need to get out. So from now, I will stop to having my hair cut. I'm not going to have my nail clip, and she said, "Oh no, you're not going to do." You start to complain, I start to brush my teeth. So it's exactly like that. Was of course a joke. I didn't do that. I just remember that situation right now.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's how it is. True story. So I have no shame in this. I used to get my hair blow dried every single week for several years now, and I told my hairstylist I'm not going to be doing that for a while, and he honestly thought I was cheating on him with another hairstylist. And I had to tell him there's no one else in my life, I promise. I'm just embracing my curly hair. I don't care. Yeah, working from home has definitely brought a lot of people being comfortable with the new normal. So absolutely understand.
The women and the hairstylist is a situation of fidelity. I know what is that, and I understand.
Yep, it's very important, very important. So let's move on to our final question, which is, what are some best practices for maintaining mental health? So we've seen a lot of emphasis on mental health in the past, but obviously now it's really important. And if someone's struggling with working from home, what do you suggest they do? Because mental health is important in general, but people are struggling right now working from home, especially those who are in high-rise condos. They can't get out. They live in the city. It's definitely a challenge if they can't even get fresh air. So what do you suggest that they do?
So yes, this is nice. I'm really not a Zen person, a hippie or something like that. But I'd like to share some tips based on mindfulness concepts. The first tip is to try to be in the present moment, but not in the past, not too much in the future. When you think about the past, you can think about things you have learned, things that made you stronger. You also can practice some forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and forgiveness for others. Thinking about the future, but you think what you need to do now at this time, at the present moment, to build the future you want. So you can't live in the past, so you can't live in the future. Be in the present moment. It's hard, I know that. So in addition, try to exercise some gratitude for who you are. Don't compare yourself too much to others, okay? Try to exercise also compassion for the others. Don't judge too much anything and anyone all the time. So one other tip is avoiding using social networks like Facebook, Twitter too much. This is poison, really poison. Try to have real interactions with people, even if they are remote, okay? In your break moments, remember to interact with people in your house, call someone, a friend, a relative, have a coffee with your wife, have a lunch together with your housemates, okay? Finally, some advice that help physical health also help us to keep our brain working well. Eat healthy food, don't drink every day, not a lot at least, and remember exercising.
Yeah,
This is very
Rogerio, really great. Some of obviously some of the tips you just provided to them was the same I was going to talk over here. And but the most important thing is to try to be able to balance between work and personal life. Yeah, but I know that nowadays it's hard to get that equilibrium, being forced to be at home, away from our friends, relatives, and that situation is bringing people to work hours and hours to compensate that. So they are home, they cannot leave, so they wake up in the morning and start working from until later at night. That's obviously not healthy. You're going to be overwhelmed, and that's going to be stressful. And I can share a couple tips, like create a specific time during the day to take your mind out of work. So one going to create appointments on your schedule. Go down on your Outlook or any tools you use. Create some appointments that can remind you to start a video call with a colleague. Do remember that when you're in the office, you go to the coffee break with that person that's usually called, and let's go and let's talk a little bit. You don't talk about work, you usually talk about other stuff. So create some reminders to connect with that people, that person, and talk different stuff. You're going to help yourself, and you're probably going to help that person also, because that person that you talk every day when you're in the office, now that you're remotely, just probably say, oh, no one remember about me, no one is calling me. So if you just call her attention and start to talk to her, you're going to be helping her. Other reminders that you can put in a schedule, it's like a reminder to stand up and stretch. Instead of be sitting all day, you just put a reminder 5 minutes to get up, drink a water, stretch. Also, another thing that I got from a colleague, that it's when you have a chat or a remote call that don't need to be on the video, or even the video, Ray just said before, if you can, of course, depending where you live, but do this call on your phone, walking around the house. It's just a way to exercise while you're working. So basically, eat health food, find out time to enjoy pleasure. So to the balance, if you like to play with your kids or talking with your partner, find a time to read, cook, watch a movies, whatever your hobbies are, you need to find out this balance. It's a hard moment now. You cannot go outside. You cannot really be uh, together for other people, but you need to find this balance. And if nothing of this is looking possible to you nowadays, just remember that you're not alone. And don't be so proud. Call someone. these people can reach out and help you. That's my last advice, because I know that mental health is being really hard to keep nowadays.
I think those are really good points, Leo. And going off of the don't be so proud, I think also like talk with your leader. It's okay to say to your manager or whoever you report to, like, hey, I'm struggling right now. I'm having a hard time. My productivity is not where it's at. You know, they might have some suggestions. They might want to take some tasks off of you and understand that you can't perform as well as you have been. So I think that's really important. And kind of off of that, I wanted to share some of these principles that I've seen that are the COVID-19 principles. So I saw this posted on LinkedIn. I think someone from Microsoft posted it, but it said, you're not working from home, you're at home working during a crisis, trying to work. So I think that's really important for people to realize. And your personal, physical, mental, and emotional health is far more important than anything else right now, which is very true. Because if you're not together in those three departments, you're obviously not going to perform very well at work. Don't try and compensate for lost productivity by working longer hours. And I think a lot of people do try to do that. They think that because they didn't get certain things done during the day that they need to work late at night, which ultimately then is counterproductive for what they're trying to do. And Rogerio, you mentioned this earlier, be kind to yourself, but don't judge how you're coping based on how you see others. And point number 5 is also vice versa. Be kind to others and don't judge how they're coping based on how you're coping. So you can't compare yourself to others because people are in different situations. I'm fortunately in an area where I can go outside in my neighborhood and I can ride my bike and I can take a walk and I can get fresh air, but I also have colleagues who are not. I have colleagues who are stuck in high-rise buildings who can't get out and who can't get the fresh air, and I have family members as well in that same scenario. So it's a little different, and it's harder because obviously those little things that we used to take for granted in the past are now affecting our daily lives. And the last one, your team success is not measured the same way it was when things were normal. And I think again that goes back to talking to your leader, because that's really important. Obviously, it's a really weird time right now. No one's experienced this. We have no experience past experience to rely on based on what we're going through right now. And it's a learning curve for everyone. Everyone's adjusting. Everyone's trying to try and work through this. And, you know, it's a team effort. So I think I just want to share these because I thought this was a really good really good like little breakdown of rules that were helpful on, you know, just don't compare yourself to others and understand that it's a really strange situation right now. And obviously going back to mental health, it's just really important to make sure you're okay, because if you're not okay, you're not going to be okay. If you're not okay as a person on your day-to-day life, you're not going to be okay when it comes to work and other things. So at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're okay to therefore be a better person in your home life and to be a better person in your work life. And so mental health is super, super important, and you need to find what it is that you're struggling with so that you can address that situation and try and make it better, whether it's through exercise or through diet. I mean, I know just like hurricane snacks here in Florida, I'm also eating COVID snacks. So yeah, it's just all dependent on your situation, but prioritizing that, understanding that it's different. So yeah, I wanted to share that because I thought it was really good.
I totally agree. And just adding something when you said about talking with your leader, that's a two-way road. So it's not only about me asking for help and talking to my leader, but it's also about the leader identify those on their colleagues. So
Yep.
one thing we're doing, at least at Prosperi, we are talking with leads and we are being really careful about try to talk with your employees and start to identify some signals that are showing that that person is not doing well or that they need some support. So if they start to be late and then they didn't that before, if they're starting to come to the meetings and not opening and starting their videos, that's a couple signs that something is happening that's not normal. So you have to be able to support, and that's for the organizations. What we did internally was we did a partnership with organizations, and we're providing to our employees the ability to connect in a teleconference with specialists, psychologists. I don't know if that's the right term,
Counselor.
but the counselors. They're professionals, so it's being paid for the organization, and we get oriented all the managers, get the signal, talk to that the person particularly, say to the HR department, we're going to try to get some professional to talk with them. I know that today it's not normal. It's a hard situation. It's hard to balance the life. So our goals today was provide some tips and what the things that can be done. You're saying about people that live in a high building. I did the exercise almost every day on the last month when I tried to see how can I guarantee that our employees are mentally healthy. Every time I was remembered, I moved from São Paulo a couple of years ago to Orlando. In São Paulo, it's a huge town. I lived in a 30-floor building on the 20th floor. I would be scared to go in the elevator, to press the button. And I know that everyone's staying at home, and there's a lot of apartments on that building. And nowadays I have a different situation. As you said, I can walk around and run on the community I live. But I try to put myself on the other person's situation and see how can we support. So it's, like I said before, it's a two-way road. The organization needs to think about the employees, and the employees need to not be so worried that if I have some problem, if I need some support, raise your hand, talk to the people, talk to the organization. I'm sure that they understand that you need that support and that you're important for the success of the entire company. So, as I said before, if you need, call someone, reach out, and I know that there's someone there to help you.
Yep, I agree. That's definitely a good point. So thank you for sharing that, because it is a two-way road. So awesome. All right. Well, I just want to wrap this up. I think a lot of good points were shared today and touched on different aspects. I just want to remind that our hot word donation goes to the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. So every time that our hot word home was said today, will be $1 added to our total tally to donate and support this amazing cause. And just to wrap it up, thank you for joining us for today. I hope that you had some good takeaway points. I hope this maybe gave you some aha moments. And if you have any feedback, any questions that you want us to answer, any themes that you want to propose to us, please reach out to us at askphh@prosperiglobal.com. So askphh@prosperiglobal.com. And yeah, thank you for joining us today. Thank you guys, Rogerio and Leo, for all of your great feedback, and cheers, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.